Okay, gang, this tutorial we're going to look briefly at Google Slides, and I'm going to show you not just how to create slides, because I think you guys probably can figure that out, but a few other additional features of Google Slides. So to get us started, we're going to click on New and then come down to Google Slides and choose to create a new Google Slide. Now when you come to Google Slides, obviously the first thing you're going to want to do is rename it in the upper left-hand corner, just like we did in Google Docs. And that will allow it to save all the changes under that name as well as allow you to share. Now you can see here that I actually got us started and I created 2 slides just because I feel confident that you guys can create your own slides. So I didn't want to spend time on that, but I did want to show you a couple of cool things that you can do once you have your slides. Once you're on a slide, you can see up here at the top we've got a few options. The first I'm going to take you to is where it says Theme. Now what's going to pop up over on the right is a whole bunch of color themed options that we can choose for our presentation. This would probably be the first thing you guys chose if I hadn't already had a couple of slides here. But you can scroll down here and you can choose to add on any of these themes that you would like. You can also import a theme if you found one online. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. And notice it changed obviously both of the slides. You can go back and change those at any time that you would like to make a change. If you wanted to make an additional change to this theme, you can come up here to background and you can actually choose the color of your background or an image if you chose to do that. You can see here, do you see how that changed? I'll come over here, you can see it a little bit easier. Instead of brown, we're going to choose, say, blue. And up here at the top it changed to blue. So those background colors will allow you to make modifications even to what your theme is. If you hadn't had a theme on there at all, it would have just changed the actual background of your slide instead of parts of it that correspond with the theme. So I want you to know that. Transitions is something else you might want to know about bringing transitions in between slides, just like you do in PowerPoint. That's up here at the top as well. Additionally, you can insert in a whole host of items inside of your slides. Coming up here under Insert, you're going to see those. In Image, these are the same options we saw within Google Docs. So if I choose to upload from my computer, I'll go ahead and do that, and I can bring in an image. I'll go ahead and bring in the same image that I brought in for our Google Docs. Okay, I brought this one in because we're still talking about animals. The idea behind this Google slide is that it does correspond with our document that had to do with our field trip to the zoo. So this is a slide presentation about maybe some of the animals that we will see at the zoo that we might show to our students before we go. So obviously you can resize these, you can turn them if you want to, and so on. Now, as I mentioned through the Google Docs area, you're going to want to cite each of these. So another option under here is to insert a text box. That's a good idea if you want to add yourself a note, or a good idea, you could add in your citation right there. Another option that you've got is you can actually insert in audio. And let me show you how that works. If you choose Insert Audio, what it's looking for is anything saved in your drive. So the first thing you need to know is any audio you want to add in, you need to first save to your Google Drive. Now I downloaded a sound file from dig.ccmixter.com. We talked about that during the Teacher Resources Week. So I downloaded one. I'm going to go ahead and choose, and I put it into my Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and choose it and choose Select. Okay, now here it is. And one of the things I want to do is I want to click on it and choose some format options. My audio playback, I want to happen automatically, so I don't have to click it on each slide. The other thing I'm going to make sure is checked is Hide Icon when presenting. I don't need that little icon unless you do want it there. And I'm going to unclick Stop on Slide Change. So I'm going to go ahead and present and show you what it's going to do. There's my sound coming through, and there it is on the next slide. Okay, so that's just one thing you can actually add on to here. Music, sound effects, and so on if you chose to. Okay, just a couple last things under Insert. You can choose to insert in a hyperlink if you chose to, just like we did in Google Docs. And you can also add in video. If you choose that, it'll actually give you an area where you can search YouTube to bring in a video if you chose to. All right, I also want you to see that just like we had in Google Docs, you have an add-ons area where you can add on these additional tools and components to make this tool more robust. If we click on this, you're going to see we're going to have a whole host of these that are intended to be used for Google Slides and so on. I'll let you guys take a look at those, but these items will allow you to make this tool a little more robust by adding in additional components. Just like we saw in Google Docs, we have an array of options under File here, including you can import slides in from an additional presentation that you have on your Google Drive. You can download this directly into PowerPoint or a number of other formatting options, so it doesn't have to just stay inside of Google Slides. As a side note, when you type in any kind of notes down here in the notes section, those will actually bring themselves down into the notes section of a PowerPoint if you downloaded it into that. You can look at your version history just like we did in Google Docs over here, so you can see who's doing the work in this presentation. And you can see that, of course, we have a few other options. It looks very similar to what we saw inside of Google Docs. Just like we did in Google Docs, you've also got some share options here, very similar to what we saw before. Edit, comment, and view. You can get a shareable link where you can choose to post that big long link to anybody to take a look at if you want them to comment or you want them to view it. And again, you've got the advanced options just like we saw inside of Google Docs. This looks the same. It mentioned commenting there. I also want to mention you still have the insert comment option like we did in Google Docs where you can add in a comment here. Make sure you add in one more animal per category. Comment. All right, so those comments work just like they did inside of Google Docs up under the insert comment area. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is kind of a cool new feature that Google Slides has available to it. So if we go into presentation mode, let me show you one option that's inside of there. All right, one of the things you see inside of here, in addition to some options down here, a pointer, and so on, is something that says CC Captions. If I click on that and I start talking, you can see at the very bottom of your screen, it's actually captioning what I'm saying so people can see it instead of hear it. So this is a really great feature that Google Slides has in presentation mode that allows your voice to be translated into captions. Let's head back. All right, that captioning feature is a really great one that allows you some flexibility for people to read your text instead of just hearing you. Okay, gang, that was Google Slides. I wanted you to see that even though I think you know how to create the slides part of it, I want you to see how to add some additional components to it and really take advantage of the things that Google Slides has to offer.